So hi guys, how are you doing? Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Regina Space, the place where we get to share, learn and grow together. And today guys, as I promised, we are trying to be consistent. So a video every week, and if things go well, we can get 2 videos every week. So today, as you can see from the title, I want us to talk about grief, and I'll be sharing my experience with grief and the progress so far. So it's sort of not really a story time, because this is something that is very real and something that has happened. So it's something I'm still living through. So it's not like a story, it happened, this one time something happened and we're no longer like facing it or having to deal with it. But before we get into it, guys, you know what to do. Please support your girl. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the like button if you like this video. And, turn on your notification bell if you'd like to be notified each time I put out a video. So if you see me looking sort of like my eyes are looking somehow down, I'm trying to just look through my notes because I've actually written notes. And what I want to do is to take you through my grieving journey, where we are at, and I think I'll go year by year of how the process was. And they say there are ways that I don't know, psychologists have proposed that we're supposed to, or not really, of how the stages of grief go through. And one thing I was listening to a podcast today. I had Kambua just saying that grief is not a linear process. Grief is messy. They talk about the grieving journey as denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But you don't go through those stages in a linear process. Like once you're done with depression, boom, you move to acceptance and that's it. It's sort of like a circular process. I feel, especially for me, that's how it was. Like it's just messy. One day you can wake up very okay and all that, and the next minute you're crying, the next minute you're breaking down. And just to mention that having gone through grief, it's not even something I would wish biggest enemy. It's the most painful thing. I think grief exposes someone to a very high threshold of pain. So those stages, they intertwine a lot, and that's how I've seen grief for me, actually happens. I lost my mom in March 2021. So I only have like about 3 years to look at. So 2021, 2022, and now 2023, and 2024 we just began it. So 2021 was like my worst year, very worst year. And just looking back, I'm really even thankful like to be here, like I survived it. So after we lost her, of course it doesn't hit you. I would want to say somehow it's like I was numb. There was just this blinding, I had to even think or feel anything, or even to think about how life would move. And I would want to say I was in denial, I would say. And I remember even when I was told, oh, she's passed on, and I went into the room and I was looking at her and I'm like, she's still breathing. I can see like her pulse. Like you see the way you can tell someone is breathing just by looking at them, and the pulse, you can see it. And I was like, just look at her, she's breathing. So I was in denial, like serious denial. Even, going back at home that day, deep within me, I was still hoping that someone would call me, or she would call me and tell me, oh, your mom is good, she had not died, she probably, just fainted or something, or lost conscious, but now she's okay, we have her. So I was really hoping for that. Which, looking back at it, I don't know what to say, honestly. And I think somehow, even to date, I still hope. Actually, there's a time I dreamt about it, so let me not go deep into it. So in 2021, there was a lot of crying, a lot of sadness, a lot of tears, just the fact that you're like, oh, she's no more. Each time you think about her, you're like, oh, she's no more. And I remember even immediately after we did the burial, I could not even like look at her pictures without me breaking down or crying or just feeling that overwhelming sense of sadness. So that was, it was crazy. Let me just say it was crazy. And like I mentioned, being exposed like to the highest threshold of pain. I don't know, perhaps I'm saying this is the highest threshold of pain, and it's because that is my experience, perhaps, of not being exposed into other, levels of pain. And I think once someone is exposed into that pain, like nothing can get you back. There's nothing really that can get you back, or nothing that can shake you. The pain that grief exposes you to is not even like the pain of a heartbreak, of a friendship, or maybe a partner or something. It's like the worst pain ever, and it's so real and so raw. You even feel like I used to feel actually like there was someone stabbing my heart, someone with just a dagger stabbing my heart, very hard. That's how I used to feel, especially in the initial days. I think that month after she passed on, that's how I used to feel. And of course, a lot of sadness, crying. I was even feeling guilt. You see, when something goes wrong, I don't know who taught us, when something goes wrong, we always try to find, who is responsible. Is it because we did not do enough, just to keep her alive? And honestly, she didn't belong to me, she belonged to God, so it's God who decided to take her. And I think it's human and natural for us to feel like we played a part. But that's grieving again. It's grieving, it's how it goes. And after feeling guilt, at some point I would feel angry at her. And it's so crazy. Just looking back at it, I was even thinking the other day, it's like me and mom, we had like a pact, like nobody is going to leave either the other in this world. I mean, we are not going to leave each other. If we are going, we are all going together. Crazy, right? Yeah. So I was angry at her for like just going. How can you just accept to die and leave me? Like, why did you accept? Like, she had a choice. That's crazy. She didn't have a choice, and she didn't even know whether she was dying or not. I mean, I haven't experienced death myself, so I wouldn't know whether you're given a choice or not, or whether anyway, whatever I'm saying is crazy. So I was angry, Mom, why could you leave me? Why did you leave me? How could you leave me alone in this world? How could you do that to me? And so that was very painful. I would be angry at her, and I'm like, it's okay, all right, you went. Grief can make you do things, and sometimes I would feel angry, like, to God, like, why would he take her? But that wouldn't last for long, because again, when my mom passed on, of course I saw her, and when she was on that bed, the bed where I'm saying, I was telling the doctors I can see her breathing, and I could just see the peace, like just looking at her face, like she's so asleep, like a baby, so joyous and so peace, no stresses of this life. And that picture, I still have it in my mind up to date. And it's something that I always want to remember whenever, I feel pain or sadness. I just want to get that assurance that wherever she is, she's very comfortable. She's no longer sick. She entered like her rest, literally, the way they say it. So dealing with anger, dealing with grief, 2021 was full of it. Dealing with sadness, with crying, but something else. And I know perhaps many people experience this as well. It was the lack of sleep. I dreaded nights. I hated nights. Oh my God. Insomnia kicked in. Insomnia kicked in. And I'm telling you guys, for 2021, I mean, towards the end, I did manage to sleep, like sleeping peacefully throughout the night. But I remember like 20, especially in the initial months, like April, May, June, honestly, it was the most worst times, in my life. And you know what used to happen, like early in the night at around 7, 8, 9 there, when everybody is in the house, when the TV is on and you're watching programs, or when it hits like the time to go to bed and everyone goes to bed and you're supposed to also go to bed and it's quiet, people are falling asleep, or even if they're not falling asleep, like nobody's talking. So I dreaded even the silenceness, the silence that comes with the night. It would always take me back. It would always remind me of that. I mean, it was real fear. And looking at it, honestly, perhaps it was trauma. Honestly, I think it was trauma. I remember it got to a point whereby I even had like to be on pills for me to sleep. So of course I won't talk about the pills here. I'm not a doctor. I'm not supposed to be prescribing medication. So I would take those pills. I even remember it got to a point whereby I used to take like 2 tablets of the pill, and it's because you're grieving and life goes back to normal after you lose your loved one. So you're supposed to go back to work. Life is supposed to move on as if nothing has happened, while on the inside, your world has been turned upside down. Like, that is the most painful and most most annoying thing. Yeah, so we got through that period. And maybe just to mention, perhaps I didn't mention that I got a therapist, I think 2 weeks into after we buried her. And what I needed was grief counseling. And honestly, I don't have anything good. I mean, I have a few good things to share about that process, but what I needed was help to go with the grief. And at some point, she did help me with going through the grief. Like, she introduced me into writing letters to my mom. Like, whenever I would think of her and I feel like crying, just take a pen and paper or on my phone and write her letters. Or if I feel like she died without me having told her some things, or if I felt like there's some things that were left unspoken in our lives, so she would encourage me to do that. And I used to do it, and I think I did it several times, but it was so painful. Like, even when doing it and writing those things and just saying and knowing she's normal, like she'd not even read the letter. In a sense, it was good. In a sense, it was good, and in a sense, it was so painful. So after a few days, I just stopped it and told her, yo, this is way more painful, and I don't want to go through this. You to continue with this. I mean, very bad, but I had to stop at some point. But I did write a few letters, and perhaps I'll just go back to them and see what I wrote, because I still have them on my phone. But the experience I didn't like is that, depression is a stage of grief, so there's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But she was more on preventing me from going to the to the depression stage. And I did feel like she wasn't supposed to do that, because each time we'd meet and I'm telling her how sad I feel, how frustrated I feel, she will always be like, please don't let yourself get into depression. And I'm like, I'm already there. How do I stop myself from going through depression? So in that sense, I feel like, and honestly, coming to think about it, I don't think there is anyone or anything that can, especially being grief, honestly, depression, just allow me to go through it. Honestly, at that time when I was feeling that anger, the sadness, the depression, I felt like I deserve it. I should go through it. I mean, I just lost my mother, so whatever is going to come my way, I'm okay to go through it. And I was like, if this is what grief brings, then I need to go through it, because honestly, this is so real to me. I've just lost someone, so I have to go through it. But she was more on like, oh, please don't allow yourself to go into grief and all that. So at some point, I remember I even stopped contact and just allowed myself to go through the pain. That was really bad, actually, because we are all conditioned to run away from pain, from sadness, from frustration, whatever comes our way. And so I started thinking of ways to escape, honestly, to escape the pain, to escape the situation, to escape my reality. And my reality then was, I am depressed, I am grieving my mother, and I hate it here. I hate how I feel. I hate whatever is going on, and I want to run away from it. And so what did Regina do? Oh my God. So I told myself I need a paradigm shift. I just need to turn my life upside down, and perhaps that would help with, the grief. Because again, I had been advised that doing new things or doing things you've never done before, would help you also with the process of grieving. So I thought, let me apply for a job abroad, honestly. A job that would take me maybe to New York, to another country, where I'm just going to start life all over again, and perhaps that would help with it. And I did look for jobs, abroad jobs, and I did apply. And I was actually shortlisted. I did all the recruitment stages for that job. So the job was actually supposed to take me to New York. So I was shortlisted, went through the process. Oh my God, I started praying and trusting God for that job so that I can move. I usually like telling these stories even to my friends. Like, I was sure I was getting this job. I mean, I even got like my career mentor even to help me, to coach me through the panel interview when we get to that stage. And I had started planning my life in New York. I had even gone online to look for houses. It's crazy. All the people I know in New York, I started asking them, what do you know about, neighborhoods that are affordable, neighborhoods, that are safe and all that. Where would you encourage me to live? I had done all that. I mean, building castles in the air. I'm the queen of building castles in the air, let me tell you. I had designed and planned my life in New York. I was like, this job, we are getting it. And the job itself, it was a very low job, honestly. To be honest, looking at my experience, it was just a low job. And it was not something that I would even shout like, that I love whatever I was supposed to be doing. But I was like, if this is what is going to take me away from this place, then, I'm happy to go. So come the day of the interview, the panel interview, my God. And let me just tell you how the world just conspired for me not to get that job. So I had done all the recruitment stages, the ones I'm telling you. I had done the screening, the video interview. I had done the written interview, had written reports and all those things. I had done some research. I had submitted everything. And I was shortlisted now for the panel interview, them sema kweli. And it was to take place, I think, at 6 p.m. Kenyan time. Remember, I'm talking with people in New York. So it was 6 p.m. my time. So the previous night, insomnia, I'm saying I was dealing with the lack of sleep. So insomnia kicked in. I didn't sleep a wink. I think I slept for 1 or 2 hours that day. And mind you, had not taken leave for my job from my job, so I still had to work, though I was working from home throughout the day. So here I am. I wake up in the morning. I feel like a dead potato. I honestly feel like a dead walking human being. So what did I prepared a cup of coffee, just hoping it would, give me the energy to carry on the day. I even took some pills and I was like, these are going to boost your energy. So, but I was, the way they tell you that you have an instinct and it tells you whatever is going to happen. Somehow I was like, that job, are we really going to get it the way I'm feeling for that interview? Anyway, I did not even think of writing to them and requesting if we could schedule the interview. I just felt that wasn't going to be professional. And remember, we are trying so hard to get this job. So I went through the interview. So I was tired throughout the whole day. You remember I had not slept. Up to date, by the way, I normally get my sleep very much. So I had not slept. So come to the time of the interview, this is a tired, grieving, depressed, sad person doing the interview. Honestly, I don't like how I performed in that interview. And I think by the time it was done, instincts again, I had already told myself, you're not getting that job. You're not getting that job. But on the other side, I really want the job. I really want to get it. So I just felt, this one you're not getting it. But when I think that I'll not get it, I just cry. Like, what other way? What else? I need new things. I need things to challenge me. I need things to take me out of this place. I need things to take me out of this pain. And so I just started even thinking, if I don't get that job, perhaps, what can I do? And let me not even mention all the things that were going in my mind. So of course I didn't get the job. It was very painful, so painful, like the worst painful. No, not the most painful, honestly. The most painful thing is losing my mother. And so I didn't get the job, but a few months later on, I got another job, but it was still in Kenya. And for me, what I was doing here is to escape the pain. And honestly, today, I thank God that I never got that job. Low-key, I would have loved to get it, but there was a reason as to why I didn't get it. There's a reason as to why I had to go through the rawness of grief itself, just walk right through it and feel that pain without escaping, because there's no way I would have escaped that. And if I escaped it, I would have to deal with it later on, and it would be so bad. So that was one crazy year. So by the end of 2021, of course, I was still grieving. I was still, crying whenever I felt like crying. And I remember going to spaces where my mom would be, like going to her house, seeing her friends even, that would trigger me as well, especially like meeting her friends or the people who knew her and the people, oh my God. And just remember, that was the most painful thing. It would trigger me in a very bad way. Even looking at her pictures, I remember in that year was still so difficult for me, because I would look at it and I'm like, oh my God, she's normal and all that. Wow. But anyway, 2021, that's how we dealt with it, honestly, going through the pain, the sadness, crying when I feel like crying, especially mostly when taking showers. Nobody's seeing you, nobody knows you're crying. Those ones were really good. Something else I started going to the village more often. So I never used to go to the village, and my mom loved staying in the village, so she would be in between Nairobi and the village. So I started going to the village, and actually even to date I asked myself why I never used to go to the village, most of the times. But somehow we had disagreement. You'll be the one coming, since in terms of logistics, it's easier for you to come and go back. Something else I did in 2021 is I did some of the things we were talking about doing for that year, or we had talked about, but never really brought them to execution. So I did do some of those things, and I think that also helped in terms of grief. Sometimes when you're talking with someone, you don't know whether they'll be going any minute, so you don't take things seriously. So that year actually I started going for those things, especially the goals she had with regards to the whole family. But something else that we did in 2021, I and my sisters, is that we all moved in together. I mean, honestly, we didn't purposely say, hey, let's stay together now that our mom is dead. We just found ourselves us coming together. And so we moved in together. So we would cry and remember her together. We would support each other, sort of we were there for one another, honestly, even us not intentionally planning to do that. So we stayed actually together for almost 1 year together, and that was really good, because whatever you feel, even the other person is feeling it. If you feel stagnant and you want to talk about it, you just talk about it. That really helped, honestly. That really helped. And so yeah, if you're going through grief and you have people who can be there for you, if you really looking back at it, I mean, in hindsight, that was like the right thing that we did for us life was so flat. I don't think there's anything that could make me, in 2021, nothing made me happy. Nothing, literally. But in 2022, you start noticing some things, you start enjoying some things, somehow the world was gaining color, which I loved. And even just like I was saying, the way she slept so peacefully, just knowing that she's somewhere where there's no pain, like she's not suffering anymore, that was also in a sense giving me comfort. So in 2022, to date, I still tell myself that she's in a good place, where there's no pain, where there's no crying. So that was 2022. And I remember 2022, how was the Christmas season that time? I think we were all together. somehow we tried to do some things, you know, because in 2021 I had zero energy to do anything really in terms of Christmas or even my birthday. So 2022 we tried it. Of course, when people are talking about their mothers or Mother's Day, of course, such things would trigger you. When you meet new people, one thing I've never shied off is just telling people, hey, I lost my mother. I usually share that, and if there's someone who can relate to that, of course we get to talk about it, or someone who has lost their mother, we also get to talk about it. That's how 2022 was. Perhaps I've forgotten some details, but I remember in 2022 I was no longer taking the sleeping pills. Somehow my body had adjusted back into falling to sleep normally without using any sleep-inducing medication. So in 2023, remember jumping into 2023, life had gained some serious color. So we were starting to, I remember I had moved houses. No, I moved houses in 2022. But even in moving into that house, there was still so much sadness. I was like, oh, mom would be so happy in this new and bigger house, but she's no more. So there were still those thoughts. But I remember in 2023, life was gaining some colors, you know. I remember it's in late 2022 had applied for my master's. So 2023 is what was getting good news, confirmation, you know, opportunities, and just having something like to look forward to. So 2023 came with a lot of healing. I think 2023 saw me go through healing in ways that I never even thought that I needed healing in, especially in terms of grief. Let me just say, I am no longer angry at God or even my mother. I'm no longer feeling guilt. Seeing her friends no longer triggers me the way it used to trigger me. I can look at her photos. I can talk about her. Let me just say that, you know, losing a mother is something very significant that happens. But what I've found myself is getting into spaces nowadays spaces where there are mother figures. I mean, nothing can ever replace one's mother or even one's child, whatever you could be grieving or whatever you could be going through. But I've found myself getting into spaces where there are quote unquote mother figures. Someone like my mentor, you know, someone like moving into a new space and there's just a senior woman who is guiding you, supporting you through it. So I think in 2023, God did really open my eyes to see that, whether it is in terms of my colleagues, people I meet, or people who we share a connection and a bonding, and we can speak about so many things, or they can offer me, you know, advice or wisdom on certain areas. And so I've learned somehow to notice that nowadays. So 2023 was full of that. Again, finding joy on my own, because I think when you love someone and they get removed or taken away from us, I used to feel and think like a part of me died when she died. And perhaps that's true, because grief again changes someone. Grief has changed me in ways that perhaps even myself cannot notice, but I know it has certainly changed me, especially in terms of how I experience pain, how I experience rejection, how I experience loss. It has changed me, and I've learned some things from it. I was mentioning 2023 has been a year of me finding joy on my own, going, you know, doing even things that I like being away from this YouTube channel for 2 years, and now I'm back with and doing these YouTube videos is something I enjoy. So like stuff like coming back to YouTube, stuff like now having moved abroad to do my master's program, you know, just me introducing some of these changes in my life that, yes, of course, they're building me in one way, and in another way, they're also helping me to deal with the grief. But it's so interesting that it's now 3 years down the line. And just the other day, I remember I was in my bed. I can't remember whether I was just mindlessly scrolling through my phone. I can't remember exactly what I was doing. And I think in that moment, I think life was normal. I don't want to say life was normal. It was in my mind, my thoughts, and in my subconscious. My mom was still alive. My mom was still there. And I don't remember what happened. Then I came back to life and I was like, wow, oh no, she's not there. She's dead. This is a world without your mother. And I remember just bawling my eyes out and crying, oh my God, she's no longer there. Honestly, I don't know what it was, but in my subconscious or whatever conscious, whatever it is I was on, my mom was still alive. And then something hit me. How is the world? The world is without your mother. Your mother is not there. And so that was really painful. And I was like just bawling and bawling. And I think one of the things that grief taught me is just to be kind to myself, go through whatever it is I feel like doing. If I wake up and I feel like, honestly, today don't feel like being productive or doing much, and if I don't have to do it, I don't do it. That's how I've taken it. I'm hoping one day I'll be able to go back to the letter writing, just to see whether I can be able to do it, because when I did it in 2021, it's so painful, but I found it to be somehow therapeutic. You know, just writing the letters, whatever I think was unspoken between us, or whatever I feel like I want to tell her, I would do that a lot. So even nowadays, whenever like I'm sick or something, you know, I usually think about her and I'm like, now that you're closer to God, please pray for me, you know, please ask Him to heal me. Somehow I feel like she has become an intermediary between me. I know we don't have like intermediaries, we have direct access to Jesus, direct access to God, you know. We don't need intermediaries, but now I feel like I have an intermediary who is on my side and also interested in getting the answers that I want to get to. And that, yeah, that has been so helpful. So again, I appreciate grief is a messed up journey. One day I would wake up and I've accepted, and the next time I would be bawling, just saying, no, 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 it can't happen. And grief is a process. I remember actually a colleague of mine saying that her dad died, I think, over 10 or 20 years ago, but today she still feels the pain. So I don't think the pain will go away. I wouldn't even want it to completely go away. I would still want to have it somewhere in me, but not for it like to be determining my whole life and my entire life. So it's a messed up journey. I don't know what will be happening next in 2024, but all the same, I just wanted to share that experience with you. If you could be going through grief and there's something you relate with, or something that you've been able to do to help you deal with the pain, please comment down below and share with me. Yeah, and I hope that whoever is going through grief, sending you more love, sending you hugs, sending you more grace, just to be able to deal with it, and just know it's a process. It's a process that you have to go through it. Anyway, guys, thank you. If you've been watching this video to this far, you are a diehard fan. So thank you for watching this video. Adios. See you in the next one.